Well, it is the 23rd of August 2015. I trust that you've had yourself a lovely day and you're right on time for our primetime bulletin. I'm Linda Alela Mathambu. Now, we've got lots aligned for you from Kenya and across borders. But before that, let's take a look at matters making headlines.
Name dropping in the sugar deal. Raila under fire to pay Mumias. Apprehension and anxiety as government and teachers await Supreme Court ruling.
The use of a smart jacket, in my opinion, is cool and it's like to resonate. Most of these riders are young people.
Safer border rides in the wake of innovation with introduction of smart jackets. Mashemeji Derby comes to a premature stop after penalty hitch.
Now, welcome back, and we start here in Kenya. A few hours before Supreme Court gives a verdict on the teachers' salary increment, Kenya National Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers, KUPPET, has today conducted a countrywide prayer service aimed at praying for the teachers as they await the final verdict tomorrow.
It has been a journey characterized by many happenings ranging from talks with the government, demonstrations, strikes, endless wait in the limbo, and now to divine intervention. Teachers from all over the country await tomorrow's verdict by the Supreme Court, which will change the September teachers' planned strike if it is ruled in their favor. KUPPET members arrived at St. Stephen's Anglican Church to pray for God's intervention before tomorrow's ruling.
The essence of these prayers is to go to God through the leadership of the churches to pray for the teachers of Kenya, as tomorrow we face the judgment that is so important and dear to the teachers of Kenya, and that's the judgment that will make a rule on whether the teachers should get their 50–60% pay increase plus their arrears, which have been backdated to July 1st, 2013 by the Industrial and Labour Court of Kenya. So we come here to put ourselves before God as the teachers of Kenya that we may win this case.
According to the union's chairman, Amboko Milemba, similar prayer services have been conducted in different parts of the country. KUPPET has condemned the Teachers Service Commission TAC for failing to follow the Court of Appeal's order that directed a 50–60% increment on the teachers' salary starting end of August 2015. Milemba further says the TAC has already paid the teachers this month's salary, which falls short of the agreed increment.
As we have seen, the Teachers Service Commission has hurriedly processed teachers' salary. As I talk now, teachers' salaries are in the bank, something that is very unique. This is a commission we struggle with every day to question why the teachers' salaries are delaying. Don't think they are good to the teachers as to pay early. They are trying to circumvent, to go around the rule of law, so that tomorrow if teachers get their word, they'll say this has been beaten by circumstances.
KUPPET now says that it will sue the TAC for contempt of court, sentiments that were echoed by the Vice Chair, Ronald Tanui.
By the end of this month, that salary should be paid. Even if the pay slips have been processed, that is merely paper. It can still be adjusted. This is an electronic age. It can be done so that it can be accommodated in the month of September, that salary increase. Because we are not talking of arrears right now, we are talking of adjusting the pay slip of the teacher to that percentage of 12.5 to 15% annually.
KUPPET now threatens a countrywide strike if tomorrow's verdict is not in their favor. As the teachers are awaiting, also the government is waiting. Last week, Education Secretary Jacob Kaimenyi said that the ministry will also wait for the judgment of the appeal before taking any action. Kaimenyi emphasized on the need of the courts to hear both sides of the story in the appeal, since everyone had confidence in the judiciary. The CS has appealed for everyone to allow due process to prevail before making any move which may inconvenience both teachers and students. He called dialogue in solving grievances other than strikes and protests.
Together with the WITI, the
Now, politics revolving around the ranging sugar importation issue took center stage at this year's late Vice President Wamalwa Kijana's memorial service at his home in Kitale, Trans Nzoia. The event, which was kept by top CORD leaders, also saw the Luhya Unity song resung again, with majority of the speakers turning the heat on CORD leader Raila Odinga.
Amani Coalition leader Musalia Mudavadi called for sobriety on the sugar debate, saying that the focus should be centered on the balancing between farmers' interests and those of the East African Trade Protocol.
It's very simple. Kwamba ni lazima tuwe balance, tujue kwamba ni lazima tuwe na uhusiano mwema na nchi za nje, haswa East African Community, na pia katika zile sera na mpango tunaweka, na tena tuchunge wakulima wetu, wakiwa wakulima wa miwa, wakiwa wakulima wa mahindi, lakini tusipotoshe watu na siasa ambayo haitakuwa na maana.
CORD leader Raila Odinga came under criticism of being hypocritical about the sugar issue, and the leaders asked him to pay the outstanding debt.
Na nataka kujulisha nyinyi wale wako hapa kwamba Raila Odinga hajaleta cheki yetu mpaka leo asubuhi, hajaleta cheki yetu yale alichukua molasses kutoka Mumias Sugar Company. Nataka pia kusema kwamba Raila is not competent enough to talk on behalf of the sugarcane farmers. Kwa nini? Kwa sababu kama angekuwa mtu wa kutetea wakulima wa miwa, angeanza na kuambia Kidero ule ni mtu yake, ule the main funder wa chama cha ODM na chama cha CORD, kurudisha ile pesa aliiba huko Mumias.
Dawa ya deni ni kulipa. Rafiki yangu Raila enda lipa Mumias Sugar Company that 3.9 million. I don't fear you. Go and pay. Si dawa ya deni ni kulipa. Halafu mimi nauliza wabunge wote kama mko hapa, kama kuna mbunge ana spearhead voter registration exercise kwa constituency yake, goa aende nyumbani. Sawa sawa? Lazima wapate kura ndio tupate president. Tunataka 6 million votes tuende kiti ya juu. Kama kuna mjumbe afanyi hiyo exercise western, wewe mwananchi ngoa yeye akwenda nyumbani. Tuko pamoja? Wangapi wako na mimi? Yasa walinde yuji na mkono mboko wa mwana.
I was privileged to have been a minister in the last administration, and we did import sugar when Kibaki was president and Raila was prime minister. When Wamalwa was minister for justice and Wetangula was minister of foreign affairs. When Kalonzo was vice president and minister for home affairs. We were all ministers there with Uhuru, who was minister for finance, and we imported sugar not because we wanted to, but because Kenya has a deficit and we must get sugar to address the issue. Sasa haiwezekani ya kwamba tukiwa serikalini, it is okay to import sugar. Na alafu tukitoka serikalini tuende kwa upinzani, it is now not okay to import sugar when the deficit has not changed.
The unity portrayed by leaders in support of the sugar deal seems to water down the heat of accusations against the government in the Kenya-Uganda sugar deal.
Now, amid a sugar duel in the country and Mumias brightly in the picture, the company will carry out trial tests on its milling machines Monday, paving way for normal operations to resume after a month of closure.
The company stopped operations last month for the annual plant maintenance. By last week, the company was hauling cane to the main yard in preparation for the final test run. The concluded maintenance is expected to improve the milling capacity to 6,500 tons per day. The factory's crushing capacity had dropped to below 4,000 tons per day, which the farm's management said was uneconomical. Cane farmers in the expansive sugar belt are looking forward to the improved milling under the new management team at Mumias Sugar, as some had been contemplating changing to other crop husbandry for economic sustainability. The sugar miller is currently paying farmers outstanding arrears amounting to 600 million shillings after the government released 1 billion shillings bailout cash in June 2015.
Now, civil societies in the country have threatened to take legal action if National Assembly fails to respond to a petition tabled before it by a Kenyan seeking amendment of the Property Registration Act. They say that the petition aims at ensuring that cases of corruption are handled well, especially in issues of property development.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen.
The Justice and Legal Affairs Committee of the National Assembly has been given a 7-day ultimatum by civil societies to kickstart the process of debating a petition on the Property Registration Act. Failure to this, legal actions will be taken.
We demand that the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee look at the said petition and kickstart the process of debating it at the committee stage, with the aim of eventually passing it into law. Failure by this committee to kickstart these processes within 7 working days will force us to resort to other legal and civil redress mechanisms granted to us by the Constitution of Kenya.
According to the petition, property developers should show their source of funds during and after developing of a property. It also says that for a person to register a property, one should show proof of the transaction having gone through a recognized financial institution. The remitting and receiving of bank accounts should be that of a buyer and a seller respectively. Gitonga Wadhanga tabled the petition on 28th July this year that aims at ensuring that the act is amended so that there will be transparency in property development in the country.
To deliberate on this matter. And if they continue dilly-dallying like
they have kept us informed the stage at which the petition is, and it is on process. It's going to be debated any time soon. We are only waiting for the formal invitation to appear before the committee, and we continue. There is no chance that they will ignore it because it is required for. It is mandatory that they deliberate on it.
To a media briefing.
Gitonga said that the petition intends to curb corruption, fraud, and broaden the taxation bracket.
We'll be sharing you the notes later, but we have also done formal complaints to the...
Now moving on, a Nairobi-based wearable tech company has created a smart way to improve road safety on the Kenyan capital's busy, bustling streets. According to the Transport Authority, fatal road accidents recently rose by 4.6% in comparison to the same period last year. But with the introduction of the smart jacket, these figures are expected to significantly reduce.
Downtown Nairobi. Among the seemingly endless streams of cars, pedestrians, market stall owners, and more, motorcycle taxis snake their way through the traffic. With a growing economy and increased use of motor vehicles, more and more Nairobi residents are opting to use these two-wheeled transports as an alternative mode of transport. Their size means that they can easily maneuver through the traffic and down small alleys. They are commonly known as Boda Boda. The name originated from the need to transport people across the supposed no man's land between Kenya and Uganda border. But their growing popularity has come at a cost. Accidents on the roads have led to the loss of many lives, some due to motorcycle drivers flouting road rules and others due to vehicles not spotting the bikes. According to the country's National Transport Authority, NTSA, fatal accidents in the country rose by around 4.6% during the 3-month period at the beginning of this year. 1,770 fatalities were recorded by August 10, 2015. The NTSA says that an average of 3,000 people are killed on Kenyan roads each year over the past decade and another 10,000 injured. 29-year-old Joseph Kariuki has been a Boda Boda operator for 5 years. In that period, he has said that several near-death experiences were on his way.
Watu wanakufa wengi. Yao wengine ni kugongwa na magari. Wengi kwanza ni kugongwa na magari. Mkua kwa barabara. Kwa sababu hata mtu wa gari haonaga mtu wa pikipiki kama ni mtu. Unaona? Sasa anakuja hata hawezi funga breki. Hata ukua nini mbele hivi. Badala ya kugongana na ile gari, afadhali ya kugonge wewe ndio anakuanga. Unaona? Tukua kwa barabara.
Charles Mushene, the CEO of Nairobi-based wearable tech company Cladlight, decided to create a smart jacket which links a motorcycle indicator system to try and improve road safety for motorcyclists. It's hoped that by elevating the indicator system at the rider's back, it will mean better visibility for other road users. That's particularly the case when motorcyclists are braking or turning left or right. Cladlight was formed by Mushene and his brother Joseph Mushene in 2013.
One day I was watching the news and I saw the increase in the number of motorcycle accidents. The statistics say that even hospitals have now dedicated wards and bed settings for these victims of motorcycle accidents. And I thought of how can I do an impact in the society by reducing these accidents. So one of the ideas that came up is to increase the visibility of an individual motorcyclist by just elevating their indication system, which is lowly placed due to the size of the motorcycle naturally. So now putting the indication system on the jacket, that elevates it, and as a motorist, you can now see the indication system clearly in case of braking or turning left or right.
With a sensor fixed under the motorcycle seat into the existing indicator system, a wireless connection automatically connects to the jacket. Matthew Munya is the Director of Safety at the NTSA, and he foresees no issue with the smart jacket from a legal perspective and thinks that it will encourage young people to embrace safety.
So I come and so this is the transmitter circuit that is installed on the bike. It's a less than 5 minutes installation. So basically I use bullet connectors and just plug into the already existing indication system. So this is the right indicator, which is purple, and then I attach to the green one here.
Mushene and his company hope to eventually supply their gadget across East Africa and spreading greater road safety in the process.
The use of a smart jacket, in my opinion, is cool. And it's like to resonate. Most of these riders are young people, and they are likely to get excited about using something of this nature. So first, it's likely to promote uptake. I'm sure upon release in the market, we see many people wanting to look cool in this kind of jackets. It's perfectly within the law for them to have a jacket that has indicators for both, directional and the brake lights. It should be consistent with what we have on the rest of the motor vehicle. So I do not foresee a problem in its use.
While elsewhere, at least 21 people were killed in 2 separate suicide car attacks in Somalia, one in Mogadishu and another at a military training base in the southern port city of Kismayo.
Militant group Al-Shabaab has lost control of most of their territories to African Union troops in recent years, but have stepped up attacks in Mogadishu and elsewhere. The first attack at the Kismayo University, which is being used as a base for training government troops, was launched as soldiers were lining up for training. At least 16 Somali soldiers were killed and 21 others were wounded in the first blast in Kismayo. The second car exploded in the capital Mogadishu at a busy junction in the evening, killing at least 5 and injuring 7.
in lagu qarxiyo 7 kalena ay ku dhaawacaan runtii waa nasiib darro tacsiin u direena maxaa la yiraahdaa muwaadiniintii Soomaaliyeed halkan ku naf waayay qoysaskoodii waa la qaybsanaynaa xanuunka.
At the scene were the remains of 2 burnt-out cars and a destroyed tea shop. There was no immediate claim of responsibility for the Mogadishu attack, but Al-Shabaab claimed responsibility for the Kismayo attack.
Now, Sudan is struggling to provide clean, accessible water to all regions, and doctors say much of the country's population is at a high risk of contracting waterborne diseases. Many residents of the capital, Khartoum, have little access to water, and what they can get is not always safe to drink.
A donkey-drawn wagon pulls up at a house in Khartoum, delivering water to the people living there. Here, as in many cities across Sudan, the sewage networks do not reach many residents, so people often rely on water deliveries, septic tanks, and basic toilets. Around 40% of Sudan's urban population lives without access to 20 liters of water per day, according to the UN Environment Programme (UNEP) detailed report on the country published in 2007. The UN recommends between 50 and 100 liters of water per person per day are needed to ensure most basic needs. In Khartoum, raw sewage is regularly pumped back into the River Nile. Professor Tag El Sher Bashir Abdullah, a consultant in environmental technology and resource management, says the provision of clean water is one of the key problems Sudan faces.
We are definitely dealing with a major challenge in securing and providing clean water to citizens. This is one of the main issues we have in Sudan. The sewerage system in Sudan does not serve the whole population, only part of it, while the rest of the citizens use septic tanks. Sewage in the Nile has resulted in two pollution problems: chemical pollution and microbiological contamination. Microbiological contamination is formed as a result of high nitrate levels, and this causes cyanotic heart disease in babies.
Many people drink water from the River Nile that has not been cleaned enough to ensure that it is free of disease. Waterborne diseases make up 80% of the reported diseases in the country, according to the UNEP report. The Sudanese Minister of Environment, Forestry and Physical Development, Dr. Hassan Abdel Gadir Hilal, says the government is trying to improve the water quality of the river.
Pollution causes diseases in humans and animals and kills fish in the River Nile and the Red Sea. We are working to clean the Nile of any chemicals and unclean water falling into it.
Anyone drinking River Nile water that has not been sanitized faces health risks, according to health professionals. If that water has been contaminated by sewage, the risks are even higher, with exposure to diseases such as hepatitis A, tapeworm infection and diarrhea. Dr. Nasr El-Dini Shalkami, a member of the Sudanese Consumer Protection Society, warns.
There's some contamination in our water and even in some water wells. Due to the high population, there is flooding from the sewage output, which causes serious health problems. And if it rains, this adds to the flooding, causing diseases to spread to people more easily. Actually, water pollution in Sudan is a very serious issue, if not a danger.
There is a stark difference between the purity of bottled mineral water produced for sale in Khartoum and the murky water that many residents drink on a daily basis.
Well, a car bomb targeting a convoy carrying civilians contracted by NATO killed 12 people outside a hospital on a busy Kabul street, part of a wave of attacks in the capital since news broke last month of the death of a Taliban leader, Mullah Omar.
Scores were injured in the suicide attack, and the powerful blast destroyed several vehicles, including a school van and an armored pickup truck, left twisted and blackened with another car in flames. One of the wounded being treated in hospital for leg injuries, Gali Stan, said that he was near the Shinuzanda private hospital when the blast occurred. The Taliban denied responsibility for the attack, and it appears no other group has yet made a claim. Minutes after the explosion ripped through the residential street, British and US soldiers arrived at the scene in armored vehicles. Several armed security contractors also pulled up and ran to the blast site. Dink Corp International, that offers a range of services to the NATO mission and the Afghan military, including training and security, did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Bombings have increased in the capital since the government and the Taliban in July confirmed that Mullah Omar had died 2 years ago. Some analysts say the insurgents are trying to show they remain potent. The violence has put hopes that new leader Mullah Mansour would quickly return the insurgents to the negotiating table. Instead, he seems set on consolidating his position in the group that ruled for 6 years until the 2001 US invasion.
The Lebanese police used water cannons, rubber bullets and tear gas to disperse protesters who gathered in central Beirut to protest against government policy against the backdrop of a garbage collection crisis that began a few weeks.
Protesters supporting a movement calling itself You Stink chanted against their government and lawmakers for failing to find a solution to the country's mounting problems. Some of them called on the government to resign, chanting the common Arab Spring slogan, "The people want to overthrow the regime."
We are here today against sectarianism of the Lebanese government. Our parliament of thieves that stole from our land and the people's pockets, forcing our youth to emigrate. We are here to protest against lack of jobs, poverty and hunger. We have no electricity and water.
Leaders of the protest movement said several protesters were arrested and wounded in the violence that ensued about 2 hours after the protest started outside the main government building in central Beirut.
We are here from the south to reach our voices and say that this is enough, but you can see how the security forces are treating us. It is a peaceful protest for them to hear our voice and scream.
The entire central Beirut district, which also houses parliament and several ministries, was closed off using barbed wire and heavy army and security. The crisis echoed wider problems facing Lebanon. The weak state has long been criticized for failing to develop the country and its infrastructure. Beirut still suffers daily power cuts 25 years after the end of the 1975 to 1990 civil war.
Now, dramatic YouTube footage has shown moments before and after a plane crashed on a road near an air show in southern England Saturday, leaving at least 7 people dead.
A small plane thought to be a Hawker Hunter fighter jet taking part in an air show in Shoreham, England, crashed nearby and hit several cars on a main road, the A27. YouTube footage shows the plane in the sky before crashing and setting on fire. Plumes of smoke can be seen gushing out of the crashed aircraft. One eyewitness described the scene.
He came down across in front of us, about half a mile away actually, and he was obviously too low, and that was it. He hit the ground and there was a lot of flame and a lot of nasty.
The Hawker Hunter is a single-seater jet which was developed by Britain in the 1950s. 7 people were killed when 2 planes practicing for an air show collided in Slovakia on Thursday. A US Army parachutist died after he was involved in a mid-air collision with another parachutist at a Chicago air show last Saturday.
And on to matters sports, Mashemeji Derby was called off on security grounds as Leopard fans protested a penalty awarded to Gor Mahia. Elsewhere, Chelsea gets its first Premier League after beating West Brom 3-2 as John Terry is set off for foul play.
Absolutely, and the problem is you'd perhaps maybe understand a bit more if it was a questionable call. But
AFC Leopards fans caused the abandonment of the much-awaited Mashemeji Derby after they protested a penalty awarded to Gor Mahia in the dying minutes of the match.
And with no small amount of decorum, there's another look at that even Jackson Saleh himself knows now.
AFC skipper Jackson Saleh handled the ball in the area and the referee Rafael Duati pointed to the penalty spot.
There's no question about the fact that that's a handball in the box. It's as stonewall a penalty as you'll ever see.
After 15 minutes of waiting, match commissioner Paul Kaunda called off the match citing security concern.
Formerly of Gor Mahia was warming up to try and come in the defence.
The match was heading for a barren draw before the protest.
On his debut, Chelsea in again and turned in.
In the English Premier League, new signing Pedro opened the score for Chelsea in the 20th minute after Chelsea keeper Thibaut Courtois saved James Morrison early penalty.
Terry with him. It is red. McManaman.
John Terry was sent off for a second half foul on Solomon Random. Diego Costa scored the second goal before Azpilicueta finalized the win with a third goal in the 42nd minute.
That shows that it was a foul, right? Yes. The hands on the shoulder, and that was the best angle for it. He does make...
And to much more on sports, Usain Bolt once again produced his best when it mattered most to retain his 100 meters world title Sunday and reassert his status as the fastest man on the planet.
The 29-year-old Jamaican surged past the informed American Justin Gatlin over the last 30 meters and crossed the line in 9.79 seconds, his fastest run of the year. Gatlin finished second in 9.80 to take silver, while Andre De Grasse of Canada and American Trayvon Bromell finished together in third place in a time of 9.92. They will both be awarded bronze medals after they ran identical times down to 1,000th of a second. Bolt, the reigning Olympic champion and world record holder, has now not been beaten in the 100 meters or 200 meter in 6 major global championships going back to 2007. The victory for Bolt will be an undoubted boost for a sport which has spent 3 weeks locked in a public relations crisis after allegations of widespread doping among athletes. Bolt will go for successive World Championship sprint sweeps in Beijing, with the 200 meters final scheduled for Thursday.
Well, we've come to the end of our bulletin. Thank you so much for keeping me company. Enjoy the rest of your night and, of course, have a great week ahead. I'm Linda Alela Mathambo.